she snapped her fingers at me like I was a dog. Sharp, impatient, perfectly manicured fingers slicing through the air. I was holding a tray with iced tea and lemon tarts when it happened, and for a moment I swore the glasses trembled. Everyone in the dining room looked up, some out of curiosity, some out of discomfort, and some because they recognized the woman doing it and knew exactly what kind of person she was. My name is Laura. I'm 27 years old, and on that night I was already 6 hours into a shift that felt endless. Haven Bistro glowed with warm golden light. The chandeliers reflected off polished glasses and silverware. Soft jazz played in the background. The place smelled of garlic butter, rosemary, and fresh focaccia. People came for the ambiance as much as the food. And then there was her, Vivian Hale. Tall, elegant, wrapped in an expensive beige coat, her hair styled so perfectly it looked carved. A diamond ring sparkled on her hand every time she moved it, catching the light like a warning. Vivian wasn't famous in the celebrity sense, not an actress, not a singer, but her name carried weight. Her family ran Hale & Co., a corporation so large that if they sneezed, half the city caught a cold. And Vivian had the reputation of someone who believed human beings existed on a hierarchy, with her on top. She had already sent back 2 dishes, not because anything was wrong, but because she could. She asked if someone competent could serve her. She made a face when I asked if she preferred still or sparkling water. And every time I approached her table, she stared at me with an expression so cold it made my skin prickle. But when she snapped her fingers at me and said loudly, "You need to learn your place," something inside me cracked. Not all the way through, but enough to hurt. Her friends laughed, a sharp, cruel sound, the kind of laugh rich people use when they're bored and when someone else's humiliation becomes entertainment. I swallowed hard and stepped closer. "How can I help you, ma'am?" Vivian took a slow sip of her overpriced tea and looked me up and down like I was an insect crawling on her shoe. "You can start," she said, "by giving me service worth the ridiculous prices this restaurant charges." Her friend smirked. "I apologize if something wasn't satisfactory," I replied. "What would you like me to fix?" Vivian leaned back and crossed her arms. "Fix? Everything. The tea tastes cheap, the lemon is cut too thick, and your voice is annoying me." A few regulars lowered their gaze. Some looked uncomfortable. The room felt tighter, smaller, as if everyone was waiting to see how far she would go. And then I heard it, a soft whisper behind me. "Keep recording." My heart skipped. I didn't turn around. I didn't need to. I felt the presence behind me, steady, focused, deliberate. Someone was filming. But before I tell you what happened next, there's something you need to understand. People like Vivian weren't new to me. I grew up above a laundromat. My mother worked cleaning houses until her hands cracked from bleach and exhaustion. After she died, everything fell on me. Bills, rent, groceries, grief. I had worked double shifts for almost a year. Some nights I slept 3 hours. Some nights I had to choose between dinner and bus fare. Humiliation wasn't new. But on that night, something about it cut deeper. Maybe because I was tired. Maybe because I was lonely. Maybe because a rich woman's laughter felt like a knife. Vivian snapped her fingers again, sharply. "Manager, now!" I opened my mouth to respond, but before I could, someone stood. A man, early 30s, dark hair, quiet demeanor. The kind of person who blends into a room until the moment they don't. He stepped closer, phone in hand, camera pointed toward her. His voice was calm, controlled, but sharp enough to slice through the room. "Ma'am," he said, "I recorded everything you just said." Vivian turned her head slowly, like royalty being disturbed by noise. "Excuse me?" "I said," he repeated, "I recorded everything." Her perfectly shaped eyebrows tightened. "You can't film me." "You're in a public business," he replied, "and you're verbally harassing an employee. I absolutely can." Murmurs rippled through the room. Someone gasped. Someone else whispered, "Oh my God, she's done." Vivian stiffened in her chair. Her nails tapped against her glass. "Do you even know who I am?" "I do," he said. "That's why I started recording." Her eyes widened. "What?" The man turned his phone toward her, his voice steady, unshaken. "You're Vivian Hale, CEO of Hale & Co., the same company under investigation for employee mistreatment." It was like the entire restaurant inhaled at once. Even I took a step back. Vivian's friends froze mid-sip. Her hand trembled slightly. Not enough for most people to notice, but enough for someone paying attention. "You'll delete that video immediately," she demanded. "No," he said simply. "The world deserves to see it." Vivian stood abruptly, chair screeching. Her friends scrambled behind her like startled shadows. She stormed out without another word. For a moment there was silence, pure stunned silence. Then applause, soft at first, then louder and louder. People clapped for me, a nobody waitress who spent her paycheck on bus fare and instant noodles. I stood there frozen, unsure whether to cry or hide or run. The man lowered his phone and gave me a gentle, reassuring smile. "You didn't deserve that," he said. "Thank you," I whispered. "What's your name?" "Ethan," he replied. "If anything comes of this, let me know. You shouldn't go through it alone." He placed $200 on the table and left quietly, without waiting for gratitude. I thought that was it. The end of the story. But it wasn't. The next morning, my phone buzzed uncontrollably. Messages, missed calls, notifications, comments. The video Ethan recorded had gone viral. 10,000 views, 50,000, 300,000, a million. It spread across platforms like wildfire. People everywhere were furious. She humiliated that waitress for nothing. She deserves consequences. Money doesn't give you the right to treat people like that. And then it happened. News outlets picked the story up. Former employees of Hale & Co. came forward with their own stories. Accounts of toxic management, abuse, screaming, retaliation. Vivian became the face of corporate cruelty overnight. Sponsors suspended partnerships. Investors demanded explanations. The board held an emergency meeting. Within 48 hours, Vivian Hale was removed as CEO pending investigation. Her empire cracked, not because of business decisions, not because of financial losses, but because she snapped her fingers at a waitress. As for me, everything changed. The restaurant filled with supportive customers. People left notes for me. "You matter. Stay strong. We saw what happened and we're proud of you." Strangers sent me flowers. A local bakery brought pastries for the staff in honor of Laura. For the first time in months, I felt something I hadn't allowed myself to feel: hope. But the biggest shock came a week later. Ethan messaged me. He wanted to meet. We sat at a small cafe by the river, the kind of place that smelled of cinnamon and vanilla. He told me something I didn't expect, that he had once watched someone he loved get torn down by a toxic boss, and had promised himself he would never be silent again. "When I saw her treat you like that," he said, "I saw the same story repeat itself. I couldn't walk away. No one had ever stood up for me like that. No one had ever believed I deserved more." We talked for hours about work, life, exhaustion, unfairness, and what dignity means when you don't have money or power. A week later, I received an email from a hospitality school, a leadership program, full scholarship. Someone had nominated me. Of course, I found out who. Ethan. Life didn't magically become perfect, but something beautiful began. Slowly, quietly, carefully. As for Vivian, she hired lawyers, released statements, tried PR cleanups, posted a half-hearted apology. But the world didn't forget the video. They didn't forget the snap that echoed louder than any press release. Eventually, she resigned permanently. announced a donation to a workers' rights fund, a gesture that many people believed was less about remorse and more about damage control. But her power, her untouchable image, gone. And me? I learned something important. Sometimes the strongest people are the ones who endure quietly. Sometimes the smallest humiliation becomes the spark that burns down an entire empire. And sometimes all it takes to expose the powerful is one person brave enough to hit record. If this story moved you, share it and tell me in the comments, "I saw," or "I would." Your story might be the next one we tell.